Hello, family. I'm Robin. I'm a real alcoholic.
Hey, Robert.
I want to welcome everyone to the Atlanta Step Up Society meeting tonight, book study. Change your thinking, change your life. Let's open with a moment of silence, followed by the serenity prayer. Serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You know, every week that I come up here, or every time I get to do an opportunity to do a meeting, I always speak on the disease concept first, because the program is broken down in three parts. You know, we're going to learn everything about this program to the best of our ability in detail. We're not going to leave anything out. So our program is like a puzzle with three parts. You have the problem, the solution, and a plan of action. So the problem is step one. The solution is step two. The plan of action is steps 3 through 12. So we're going to cover that in detail. But in order to recover, we first have to go through the problem. All right, and then when we get so far in the book, it is changed to a solution, and then it's going to go into a plan of action, and it's going to teach us in detail how to stay clean and sober. So we're still on the problem per se. All right. Tonight's chapter is going to be on there is a solution. All right. So we have to go back to the disease concept. We suffer from an illness, which is a disease. It's twofold. It's mental and physical. All right. So what we always must remember is that we suffer from a physical allergy and a mental obsession. We're only talking about the drinking part. Later on, we're going to go into the solution, right, which is spiritual, that overcomes or changes the mind and the body. We recover spiritually. Some people add that into the disease, but technically, we're talking about the obsession of the mind and the physical allergy. We spend a lot of time on the allergy. You know, anytime I take any alcohol or drugs into my body produces a craving. It wants more and more and more of it. And the craving is beyond my mental control. What that means is that my craving, my inability to stop using once I put any drugs or alcohol into my body is larger than my mind. It is larger than my mind's ability to stop me from using. That makes sense. I can tell myself, you really need to quit. It's time to go home. It's time to do this. You know you are here effing up. Take yourself home. Nothing changed with the body. I'm still stuck right where I'm at. I'm just playing a game in my mind. Okay? So, technically, if we don't put any alcohol or drugs whatsoever in our body, you don't have to worry about the craving. Nobody in here tonight is craving. But if I was to go out tonight, you know, we got an hour or so, run across the street, get me 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 bottles of beer and 30 rock, and we all take a hit, we all be craving tonight. We be craving tonight. It be on. That's because we all suffer from the disease. That makes sense? I'm not saying I'm going to go out and do that. I'm just trying to make a point. You're not craving because we're not drinking and drugging. That makes sense? So our main problem centers in our mind. We have an obsession. That's a thought. And it's persistent. That overrides all noble thinking for us. I can plan out a good payday. Any payday. I can pick any one of the last 30 years I was using. or anytime I got any money, it didn't make no difference whether IRS check or somebody, I found some money on the ground, stole some money. It didn't make no difference. Once I got some money, or right prior to the money, I had this list of accolades, what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay some bills. I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to get me some clothes. I have about 5, 6 things I'm going to do. That's normal thinking. On my way to do that, my mind, and the obsession is a non-changing thought or an ideal. The ideal for me was just get you one and then go do that stuff. That's all it took. I always heard that and I always believed that. Oh, you right, man. I'm going to get me one. And I'm going to do that normal stuff. With no knowledge whatsoever that if I put it in my body, the craving going to kick in. So it always overrode that normal thinking. So the main problem centers in our mind. So we have to literally learn how to hear that thought. As we grow in recovery, that thought gonna change to other things that you're gonna have to learn how to hear in your head. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So we're gonna go in tonight's lesson. Gonna be on in the chapter. There is a solution, and it's gonna cover some of this. Once you understand, let me tell y'all something that's really, really beautiful. In this class up here, and that's why we got to continue to invite people. It's not that we all are just staying clean and sober, but my ideal, and I know it's real because I done seen it happen before. You guys and myself, we're disciples. This is not just a class to learn how for yourself to learn how to stay clean and sober. You are a disciple. In the Bible, when the guys were out fishing and Jesus walked up on them, he said, stop fishing for them guppies. That don't mean nothing. Let me teach you how to be fishermen of men. So as we do it, as we grow and go and learn, you guys are the disciple. The same, like the 12 disciples, you guys and myself, we're disciples. Once we learn this information, we download this information, we get experience in this information, then we go back out into the fellowships, we go back out into the rooms, and we go fishing. You go out, this is how I do it. Let's say a good, powerful NA meeting with 100 people in it. I go home, I shine up the car, get it shiny. I put on my best jewelry, put on my best jewelry, put my rings on, get my Gucci, I got some, this is my specialty, my black alligator cowboy boots. I put them on, shine them up, get on a big old belt with a buckle that big, smelling good. I go to the meeting. Now that, for a newcomer or somebody, that's attractive. They're looking at that. Yeah. Because that's what they there for. The material stuff. So I go there dressed like that. And then when my turn to share, they didn't know I was the disciple, see. When it's my time to share, I take out my fishing pole. I put some of this on the bait. Some, 12-step stuff on the bait. Big book stuff. And I start sharing. I cast my line. They looking at the gold and stuff, you know what I'm saying? Cast like, and a newcomer bite it. Yank! I yank them out of the fellowship. And teaching the 12 step. That's discipleship. That's what you gotta learn how to do. Be a disciple. That makes sense? That's why we take our time. That's why we break it down. That's why we get the CD. That's why we listen to them over and over and over. So when you start sharing, you can't even share the same way no more. And then you hear people talking about, oh, I did this, I did that, you like this. You say, you can hear it. He was in the obsession. Then bam, he put it in. Bam, the craving kicked in. You can hear it. When other people sharing, they don't even know what they're talking about. But as a disciple, you can hear it. That makes sense? All right. We're on page 17. There is a solution. You know what? Let me just say something before we start. The only way you can have a problem, the only way a problem exists, period. Whenever someone says they're having a problem or a problem exists, the only way you can have a problem is because there is a solution. They don't hang out there by itself. That's impossible. If someone say, I got a problem, that's because you don't know what the solution is. I'm broke. Be rich. There's always a solution. I hear people talking about problem, I run from them. I go right by them. They say, what's your opinion? I don't have one on that one. Don't. Because they don't apply. You don't have to stay in a problem. That was our problem when we stayed in the problems instead of getting into solutions. All right, let's go.
There is a solution, chapter 2. We of Alcoholics Anonymous know thousands of men and women who were once just as hopeless as Bill. Nearly all have recovered. They have solved the drink problem.
All right. We of Alcoholics Anonymous. Remember, every time we see the word we have to go back and think about the 100 men and women that wrote the book, that put their experience, strength, and hope in this book so we can recover from their experience, strength, and hope. So the 100 men and women know thousands now, men and women, who were once just as hopeless as Bill. Now remember back in the era when we first started the book study, we went over the hopeless condition. And I asked everybody to pull out a piece of paper or just come up and just on one side, just take a piece of paper, right down the middle, put yes or no or dead or alive, and then ask yourself questions like that had to pertain to anything that's worthwhile in your life, that was worthwhile in your life. Like question like, my paying my bills, that's worthwhile, right? Is it alive or dead when I was using it? Dead. My relationship with my children, alive or dead? My relationship with the boss, alive or dead? My relationship with me going to getting an education, alive or dead? My relationship with my wife or spouse, alive or dead? Just continue doing that. Just pick out anything that worthwhile in your life. If you got more deads than alive, you hopeless. It's just that simple. All right. Then we go on and say that nearly all have recovered. That's past tense. ED. COVERED. They recovered. That recover means to return to health. Mentally, physically, spiritually, they return back to health. They have solved the drink problem. They're not drinking anymore. They are healthy human beings, productive members of society. That's the solution. Keep going.
We are average Americans, all sections of this country. Many of its occupations are represented, as well as many political, economic, social, and religious backgrounds. We are people who normally would not mix, but there exists among us a fellowship of friendlessness and an understanding which is indeed indescribably wonderful. We are the passengers of a great liner, the movement after rescue from shipwreck, when camaraderie, joyousness, and democracy pervade the vessel from steerage to captain's table. Unlike the feelings of the ship's passengers, however, our joy in escape from disaster does not subside. As we go our individual ways, the feelings of having shared in a common peril is one element in the powerful cement which binds us. But that in itself would never have held us together as we are now joined.
All right, this is a large paragraph. It says, we are average Americans. Now we average all over the world, no matter what country you're in. All sections of this country and many of its occupations are represented, as well as many political, economic, social, and religious backgrounds. We are people who normally would not mix. They're talking about the fellowship here. Alcoholics Anonymous has all different sorts and types of people in the fellowship. When we come into our fellowship and we hug each other and we share our experience, strength, and hope, and we sit down and we study the same pages and we drink coffee, and you know what I'm saying? There is no body higher or lower or anything like that. We are people who normally would not mix. But once we come in here, we're all the same. All right. We go down, it said, but there exists among us a fellowship. And remember, we studied the fellowship and the program. Alcoholics Anonymous has two parts. It has the program of recovery, which you guys are in right now, and the fellowship. The fellowship is just a group of people with a common interest, a common problem, okay, common solution. It's kind of like the fellowship, the congregation of a church. You know, we're a group of people who normally would not mix. But since we have an alcoholic problem, we all come to the fellowship and we share our experience, strength, and hope. That makes sense? So I have, in my 20 years, I done seen everything in the fellowship. From entertainers, football players, politicians, just like the list talked about right here, pastors and bishops. I done seen it all inside our fellowship. All right. It said, but there exists among us a fellowship, a friendliness, and an understanding which is indescribably wonderful. We are like the passengers of a great liner the moment after rescue from shipwreck. When camaraderie, what's that? Camaraderie, that's friendliness, joyousness, and democracy pervade the vessel from steerage, that's at the bottom of the ship, the poor, you know, where the cheapest rooms are, to the captain's table, where the rich go. Alright, I used to go on them cruises. I'll probably be in the middle. I wasn't on the bottom, but I was in the middle. I wasn't on top either now, don't get this wrong. But they always had the captain's dinner, where you had to dress up to go to the captain dinner. Yep. So, and what they're talking about, let's go back to the passengers of the Great Line. After a shipwreck, I don't care what you were. When you rescue, everybody the same. Everybody happy, joyous, hugging, you know, and grateful, and democracy for the people, by the people. Everybody trying to help everybody, you know, stay alive. And you know, we don't have a lot of disasters like since, you know, that's kind of toward the Titanic type thing. But you know, we don't have Hurricane Katrina, Sandy, all these earthquakes done happened since then. And the same thing exists. People come together, you know, 911, and work together. That's what they're talking about. Okay. Now, unlike the feelings of the ship's passengers, however, our joy and escape from disaster does not subside as we go our individual ways. Katrina, we got people from Katrina in here. Travis is one. all his buddies and everybody hugging in there, they gone now. You know what I'm trying to say? As the disaster is over, everybody go their individual ways, and they just kind of break away. That makes sense, and it's gone. That unity is gone. We're not like that. We're not like that. It says that the feeling of having share in a common peril, which means danger or disaster, is one element in the powerful cement which binds us. See, we don't only have a common problem, we also have a common solution, a way out. So just the common problem alone ain't going to bind us, because we all at it. But since we got this 12-step and this fellowship that we keep coming back, we got a common solution too. That makes sense? So if what they're comparing it to, if there's a disaster, the people there, only thing they have in common is the problem. Once the problem is over, they go on their own individual ways. They don't keep coming back for a solution. That makes sense. But we have both. It says, but that in ourselves would never have held us together as we are now joined. So the problem alone was not going to hold us together. So that's just one element. All right, keep going.
The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered a common solution. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree, and upon which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. This is the great news this book carries to those who suffer from alcoholism.
The tremendous fact that every one of us is that we have discovered a common solution. Our common solution is this 12-step program. Not just the fellowship. I'm telling you, I'm going to say this, the fellowship alone will not keep you clean. The fellowship alone will not keep you clean. I have seen over and over and over, people get this mixed up. We're in the program. All right, remember I told you it's two parts. There's the the program, and there's the fellowship. All right, I see people who go to join the fellowship, go to meetings after meetings and 99ers after 99ers and relapse. I see people come into the program and do both and don't relapse. Because the people in the fellowship, if you're not introduced to the program, and that's where discipleship come in. When we talked about that earlier. If you're not introducing people to the program, they become professional fellowshippers. And by going to a lot of meetings, my interpretation is they get that confused with working a program. They call going to a lot of meetings working a program. That makes sense? Yeah. And then relapse. Yeah. And get mad at the fellowship, get a resentment, talking about the program don't work. Right. You never did it. You did the fellowship. And they told you, I'm telling you no. The fellowship alone do not work. Go to church on Sunday and just go for 1 hour and see what changes in your life. If you're not active in there, going to the getting with the congregation, hanging out with them, eating and going over their house and going to the prayer, you know what I'm trying to say, and being a part of the church, you're going to sit back and, like I did, and say the church don't work. No, it don't work. I wasn't working it. You know good and well, somebody like me, 1 hour on Sunday ain't changing nothing. Well, if you're a long preacher, I'll make it 2 hours, but I wasn't there but one. Because after the time I started looking at my clock, like y'all do me. When I started looking, you know what I'm saying? When I started looking and I think he preaching longer than he's supposed to, I'm out the door. Right before the offering get ready to come, I'm gone. Or if I stay longer than I'm supposed to, I cut him off. Especially with the cell phone, the little thing that go in your ear, you hear a football game. He don't even know. Hallelujah. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You don't did it. Alright, common, we have both. Common problem and common solution. That makes sense? And it says that the beautiful part is we have a way out which we can absolutely agree on. We all know that this is the way out. We don't know, I don't know why we all don't do it, but we all know. And we all can absolutely agree. There's nobody can walk up to you and tell you that if you do the 12 steps, you will not succeed. Nobody says that. Am I right or wrong?
Correct.
So this is the great news. This book cares to those who suffer from alcoholism. All right, let's keep going.
Okay. An illness of this sort, and we have come to believe it's an illness, involves those about us in a way no other human sickness can. If a person has cancer, all are sorry for him, and no one is angry or hurt. But not so with the alcoholic illness. For with it there goes annihilation of all the things worthwhile in life. It engulfs all whose lives touch the sufferers. It brings misunderstanding, fierce resentment, financial insecurity, disgusted friends and employers, warped lives of blameless children, sad wives and parents. Anyone can increase the list.
An illness of this sort, and we come to believe in an illness. They're talking about the disease of addiction. And I know everybody here do believe that this is a disease now, right?
Yes.
All right. You know, there's a lot of people in the world who don't believe that, though. And that's our mission as disciples to let them people know that it's a disease. Can you imagine a grandmother or a mother that has a child that's addicted to drugs, and she been praying, and she been just on, crying and tears and words for years and years, and blaming herself for the disease, and then one of us go up to her and explain to her that it's not you. Your son just has, or daughter just has a disease. And explain it to her, and she's able to free herself from holding that guilt and that shame and that embarrassment from all that years. Then he come home and she said, "You got a disease. You got to go. I'm not gonna hold you in here no more." You know what I'm saying? Any longer, 'cause I know I got some beer in the refrigerator. One little sip. I've been trying to give you a sip, so you can drink like me. Now I know you cannot drink like me. You can't touch it. No more money, no nothing. But just that's a joke. But just the point of her being able to have some comfort. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And some ease and stop blaming herself. That's what we all about. This is an illness. It involves those about us in a way no other human sickness can. There's no other human sickness on the face of the earth that do this, y'all. It talks about cancer, and I know a lot of people with cancer. If a person has cancer, all are sorry for him, and with the breast cancer thing out, him or her, and no one is angry or hurt. You can go to Grady right now. Go down to Grady, go to the cancer ward. Walk through any room you want, and you'll see get well soon cards. You'll see flowers, nice balloons, and all this kind of stuff. Nobody's angry, and nobody's hurt. Go to St. Jude's. See if you see one balloon, one get well card. Go to Petrie and Pie. See how many get well cards you gonna see. Salve Lamas, step up. Man, see a gun pointing at you. It said, if it's a card, it said, "Don't come home soon. Stay." But not so with the alcoholic illness. For with it go, then they're going to explain it. Annihilation. Everything of all things worthwhile in life. We destroy everything, y'all. Everything worthwhile in our life, we tear down.
That's right.
And that only happens because of the craving. Once you put the alcohol and drug in your body and you go on that well-known spree because of the craving, that's when all this insanity comes about. Most of the time, most of us, if we don't take a drink, we cowards. One drink, and the dragon comes out. You know, and it said it engulfs, it surrounds all those lies touch the sufferer. Everybody around in our family, our employees, our friends, all suffer because of this disease. That makes sense? It brings misunderstanding, fierce resentment, being broke, disgusted friends and employers. And then what about the children, the blameless children? You know, my children was affected from my disease. All right. And I remember one time, one of my daughters, right, she used to always tell lies. Now I'm clean and sober. You know, I got like maybe 5 years clean. I'm self-righteous Robert now, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, honesty program done worked some 12 steps. So I was at my mother's house one time, and my older daughter, she's always, I just say, oh, she's just a compulsive liar. She did tell lies. So I was talking to my mother, but you know, my mom, she gonna tell you how it is. So I was talking to her one day about my daughter, right? She just always lying. My mom said, do you know why she lied like that? She didn't get it from me. Because I wasn't no liar, see. I always blamed everybody else. If I was a liar, I didn't know it. My mama said she got it from me. She said, do you realize when you were drinking and drugging, that little girl used to be here. And she would go to the school, right? Or she'd go somewhere. Every time somebody would give her $50 or $100 or a gift, she would buy a pair of tennis shoes and she would make up a story. My daddy bought me these tennis shoes. My daddy got my hair fixed. You know what I'm trying to say? So she started making up all these stories, what I call lies. My mom said she got all that from you. From your addiction, not being around, she will make up these stories, and it just carried on. The little fantasies that she would make it up, because she was pretending that her daddy was here and doing all this stuff from her when you were in Geekville. See what I'm saying, y'all? So that's a blameless child. My father was in, you see, this is how you got to put yourself in here. Yeah. My father was a real alcoholic. He drank everything. God rest his soul. From liquid shoe polish, the right guard that you spray in your, you know, used to be the kind that you spray. He would put that in mouth and spray it. Everything that had alcohol, from vanilla flavor to rubbing alcohol, he would drink anything like that. We lived in a subdivision, right? A little street, you know, with a little subdivision, all the little kids, all of us around the same age. If any given day when the school bus dropped us off, my father could be laying in our front yard butt naked drunk. All the kids used to run up to my house to see my drunk father so they can join me and my brother. All right. So I was a blameless child. So I remember on the school bus, that's how I learned to join folks. I couldn't just let you just pick on me. I had to come back. You know, I learned how to join and make. I used to be a joiner. I'll join you so hard till you cry and your brother and sister cry. So that was my defense. You know what I'm trying to say? To be a clown and come back with you. But I do remember this. I do remember being so ashamed of that I would sit at home. Oh, no, at school. Anytime you had to fill out an application, I still remember today, 2412 Bob White Drive, Atlanta, Georgia, 30331. That's my aunt's address. It's not mine. Mine was 2244 Bolingbrook Drive, Atlanta, Georgia, 30331. I put down my aunt's because I was too embarrassed to put down my own home. on anything. That makes sense? That's a blameless child. That's my father's disease of addiction carried over to me. That makes sense? All right, let's keep going. And they say you can increase the lease, not decrease it. We just get along. I call it the Nile River. They'll never stop.
Okay. We hope this volume will inform and comfort those who are or who may be affected. There are many highly.
We hope this volume, talking about this book of Alcoholics Anonymous that we studied, will inform and comfort. Comfort means to take away or ease that pain that you have. Because not only is the person, the addict, suffering, but the families are too. This is a family disease. That's why they say who are or may be affected, and there are many. All right, let's keep going.
Highly competent psychiatrists who have dealt with us have found it sometimes impossible to persuade an alcoholic to discuss his situation without reserve. Strangely enough, wives, parents, and intimate friends usually find us even more unapproachable than do the psychiatrist and the doctor.
Let me say something. Highly competent psychiatrists who have dealt with us have found it sometimes impossible to persuade an alcoholic to discuss his situation without reserve. Now, when I was using, especially in the military, I'm gonna use the military. I never went to a psychiatrist. I did that when I got clean and sober. All right. When I was clean and sober, now a lot of people don't know about this. When you're clean and sober for a long time, I know Ken do, Jet do, few people in here do. You clean for a long time. There is a position built in our system that people don't talk about, and I have experience. It's called sober but stuck. It's like you're working with sponsors, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're giving book studies, and you're helping folk, but you're like crappy as I don't know what. Yep. Stuck. I was in that position. And I said, something told me, and you know how I think, anytime something tell me something, this God to me. It's my imagination. There ain't no something outside of me telling me nothing. It's all me telling me what to do. That's just the way it is. I don't blame nothing on the outside no more. I used to though. And it said, go back to the basic. I went over to St. Jude. I'll never forget this. And I talked to some counselors over there who was there when I was a client. And they told me about sober but stuck. I said, I've been going to all these meetings. I have never heard that. So they said, get the book. What book? I went online and I found a book called Sober But Stuck. I read it. It was like 12 to 14 stories of people who were stuck in sobriety with over 10 years clean, just like I was. But they all had one thing in common. Remember, we had a common problem and a common solution that would bind us and hold us together. At the end of every one of them people tell story, they said I went and saw a psychiatrist. Every last one of them said that. So I paid my money and went up and saw a psychiatrist. I stayed about maybe 6 months. I was telling him stuff. All he wanted to know about was this store. But he taught me some more, some things and helped me get over being stuck. All right. But then one time I went to some thing, and even when I was there, I wasn't telling him what I really wanted to tell him. I was sugarcoating stuff. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm paying, so you ain't gonna get but so much. You never gonna get the rock bottom truth. You know what I'm trying to say? And then another time I was in a group therapy thing, right? And so this is the therapy with Kaiser. I was in Kaiser. I've been in some therapy sessions, and that's okay. I kind of highly recommend you go. But me, I'm just talking about my experience. Lord, no, don't do what I do. Please don't. The only thing you want to do what I do that is study the book. I was in the group. When I got into the group therapy, it might have been about 20 men. You know, a group. But then we had guys that come in there, all they want to do was talk about themselves. And they had the same problem every week. So I'm sitting in there, and this ain't going to work. So by the time it got for me to share, it's time to get up out of there. I was paying for it. So that didn't work. You know what I'm trying to say? I wasn't willing. The only place I ever became willing to talk to anybody about anything was y'all. Outside of y'all, I wasn't telling nobody nothing. That makes sense? I'll pull you to the side or someone to the side, and I get butt naked honor. But not in no psychological environment and not in no group therapy, I wasn't getting butt naked honest. Never. The only place I had ever got butt naked honor was with somebody in this fellowship. That makes sense? I think that's what they talking about, right? He said, highly competent psychiatrists who have dealt with us found it sometimes impossible to persuade an alcoholic to discuss his situation without reserve. He was holding something back. Strangely enough, wise parents and intimate friends usually find us even more unapproachable than do the psychiatrist and the doctor. Who gonna go tell your girlfriend, your wife, or somebody all the dirt you done did? They're already talking about you, wanting to kick you out. You know you using it. What me? Come on, who? They ain't gonna listen to what you got to say anyway. They done told everybody about the negative stuff about you anyway. Yeah. That don't make no sense to be going up there trying to tell them, because you know they already bad mouthing you. So that don't work. But go do the next one.
Okay. But the ex-problem drinker who has found this solution, who is properly armed with facts about himself, can generally win the entire confidence of another alcoholic in a few hours. Until such an understanding is reached, little or nothing can be accomplished.
All right, they're kind of going back to the newcomer a little bit, but they said, but the ex-problem drinker, that's us, who has found this solution, the 12 steps, who is properly armed with facts about himself, that's working these 12 steps, can generally win the entire confidence of another alcoholic in a few hours. Don't go out and try to do a 12-step call and help somebody and you looking at your clock. Time to go. I got something to do. You just wasting time. You got to really get involved and get emotional with the person and really try to help the person. Until such an understanding is reached, little or nothing can be accomplished.
That the man who is making the approach has had the same difficulty, that he obviously knows what he is talking about, that his whole deportment shouts at the new prospect that he is a man with a real answer, that he has no attitude of holier than thou, nothing whatever except the sincere desire to be helpful, that there are no fees to pay, no axes to grind, no people to please, no lectures to endure. These are the conditions we have found most effective. After such an approach, many take up their beds and walk again.
That's good. The man that was making I gotta say something though, it was kind of funny. If anybody know Aaron, there's nowhere in the world he should have missed holier than thou. I had to snicker on that one, boy. There's no way. He is holier than thou. That's all he do. Am I right, y'all? I don't know how he missed that one. Unless he want to be, he holy and then he want to holler. Wow, I'm gonna get back on track. The man who is making the approach have had the same difficulty. He had the same problem. That he obviously knows what he is talking about. That his whole deportment shouts at the newcomer that he is a man with a real answer, that he has held no attitude of holier than thou, nothing whatever except the sincere desire to be helpful. You got to have a sincere desire to help. Then it goes to talk about no fees and monies and all this kind of stuff. These are the conditions which we found most effective. After such an approach, many take up their beds and walk again. Remember I told y'all that it's very important. It's kind of like if you look at a hospital or something. We are the EMTs in recovery. We are the people that's on the front lines. That when the newcomers come, we are the ones that's supposed to tell them, bring them in and tell them about the disease of addiction. That makes sense? Yeah. About the physical allergy, about the obsession of the mind. That's our duty as disciples to start there. Don't try to preach to them. Don't run them and try to get them in a congregation. That's the solution. What people been doing is putting a cot in front of the horse. We got to tell them what the problem is. Step one is the problem. It's not the solution. It's the problem. And if we can, most times when somebody really understand the disease that they have and how it affects their body, they can usually make a decision that I can't drink no more because I know what happens now. That makes sense? I can't use no more because I know what happens now. But if you don't know that, and most of us are coming here without that knowledge. If you don't have that knowledge, the book, forget about what I'm saying, the book says you start your recovery journey incomplete. Now, Lord, no, we cannot be incomplete in recovery because we're going to use. So that's the first thing you do. But here's the beautiful part about that. If you continue to read, stay in this book study, it says that God blesses the people in recovery that stays on the front line. Now you can go get your high power job or cop if you want to, but that's okay. But he do bless the ones that go out and do this. That makes sense?
Yes.
All right, let's keep going.
None of us makes a sole vocation of this work, nor do we think its effectiveness would be increased if we did. We feel that elimination of our drinking is but a beginning. A much more important demonstration of our principles lies before us in our respective homes, occupations, and affairs. All of us spend much of our spare time in the sort of effort which we are going to describe. A few are fortunate enough to be so situated that they can give nearly all their time to the work.
None of us makes a sole vocation, that's a mission, you know what I'm saying, or a job of this work. This 12-step work, we don't do it all the time. Even in the Atlanta Step Up Society, it's divided in three. We got the 12-step work, we got the job, and then we got the residential part. So it's in three parts, all right? So I don't do it 100% all the time. It's not the only thing I do. Nor do we think its effectiveness would increase if we did. If we did it 100%, don't mean that it's going to get any better. You know what I'm trying to say? You probably end up getting burned out. I've seen that happen. Yeah. It says, this is what I like. This is very important. I've been saying this since a newcomer. We feel that elimination of our drinking is but a beginning. Is but a beginning. Bill Wilson said that sobriety is the first blessing in recovery. I don't want nobody to believe that you just don't do dope, everything all right. That is, I hear it all the time. That is not true. if you just don't do dope, that's the beginning of your life. There's a lot more work after that, right? So by not drinking, the elimination of drinking means don't put it in, don't pick up, is the beginning of recovery. You got that? It's not the end. It's the beginning. It's a great beginning too. Because you're not going to be able to begin nothing if you don't do that. You will continue where you were to go down and down and down. But it's the beginning. It said a much more important demonstration of our principle, which is the 12 step, lies before us in 3 places: our respective homes, occupation, and affairs. All of us spend much of our spare time in the sort of effort which we are going to describe. Very few people are fortunate enough to be so situated that they can give nearly all their time to the work. I don't know too many people that's all they do is 12-step stuff. Now I have seen a few guys that retired, and then they like open up clubhouses. You know, when they retired on their real jobs, then they open up clubhouses and stuff like that, and that became their retirement. And they seem to be pretty happy, but I haven't got there yet. I think no, I ain't gonna say that. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. Well, maybe God know more than me, cause my retirement meant retire, like no more accident, no more alcoholic environment. Period. Give me a good fishing pole and a lake, or go to the gym. But there ain't no more 12 stepping. Somebody called me, nah, can't do it. That's what I was thinking. But I don't know. Yeah. I thought it was over. Then you can. I really thought it was over. But maybe I was wrong. All right.
If we keep on the way we are going, there is little doubt that much good will result. But the surface of the problem would hardly be scratched. Those of us who live in large cities, overcome by the reflection that close by hundreds, are dropping into oblivion every day. Many could recover if they had an opportunity. We have enjoyed. How then shall we present that which has been so freely given us? We have concluded to publish an anonymous volume setting forth the problem as we see it. We shall bring to the task our combined experience and knowledge. This should suggest a useful program for anyone concerned with a drinking problem.
All right, if we keep on the way we're going, there is little doubt that much good will result. But the surface of the problem would hardly be scratched. Those of us who live in large cities are overcome by the reflection that close by hundreds are dropping into oblivion every day. You know, I want to talk about that. Since I've been clean and sober, this meth has came on the scene. Yeah. And I know by being around the treatment centers and all that, a lot of clients now are coming into treatment with meth problems. And the relapse rate is extremely high on that. Right? And that's new. That's new. All right. And I had a few clients that came in here. There was quite a few that was on meth. And I learned just a little bit about it. A little bit from talking to them. But I have never been formally, by school trained in the meth clinic, about meth addictions. And I know for a fact if I'm going to continue in this field, I'm going to have to go through some classes. That makes sense? Because that's out of my league. I made some horrible mistakes from lack of knowledge and ignorance in the field when it comes to dealing with meth. Now, I know for a fact somebody drinking, I can smell it a mile away. Plus, he gonna come and cuss me out. I'm the first one to get cussed out. Me and Ken, we gonna get cussed out. You know, y'all, blah, blah, blah. So I know he drunk. All right. Crack easy. He don't come back, and the cell phone gone. He ain't answering his cell phone. He done sold it. All right, that's easy. Meth was a little hard for me. I had a guy. He was sitting at the desk over there, and I knew he was on meth, but I didn't know nothing, about it. And he told me, he said, I got a cold. I said, well, go home and take some cold medicine. He ain't come back. Then I thought about it. Don't they make meth with cold medicine? No wonder he ain't come back. I gave him permission to get out. I didn't know. It's a lot of, I mean, we laughing, but it's a lot of stuff that you gotta learn in this field. He said, wow, you want me to take some cold medicine? I said, yeah. NyQuil, Sudafed. Go pop you some Sudafed. I didn't know. They make me about Sudafed. I gave him permission to use. And then he come with relay. I ain't seen him for 3-4 days. He come back in here. I said, you can't come back in here. He said, but you told me. You got to get trained in this field, y'all. They said many could recover if they had the opportunity we have enjoyed. And the only thing we really enjoyed is that it was available for us when the time got ready. They had treatment centers for us. They had sponsors. You know what I'm trying to say? They had fellowship houses. They had meetings all over the place. So when the time was, that's one of my. If anybody know me, I always believe that everything's complete. When you wake up, it's already there. So when we wake up, it's there. And I like, when people wake up from the meth clinics or wake up from a meth addiction, that we be ready for them when they wake up. You know what I'm trying to say? So that's all we enjoyed. It says, now here's the thing, here's the question. How then shall we present that which has been so freely given up? Now we're not talking about just working the 12 steps, because you already said a price got to be paid on that. Like what we're doing, you guys are a part of this mission. You guys are a part of this vision. Putting the CDs out, inviting people, talking about the disease first. You know what I'm trying to say? Me, myself, personally, I got a vision to be global. This meeting is like the spearhead for a global meeting. This meeting, I found out yesterday how to put this meeting on YouTube for the whole hour. The whole meeting. Not breaking down one little 10 minute, 10 minute, 10 minute, 10 minute. The whole thing. All right. So, to me, that's global. That's global. I believe it's that important because I go back and I listen to these CDs. I think these things are awesome. And it's not because I'm doing it. Because really, if anybody know me, 10 minutes after we done closed that door downstairs, I don't even know what I talked about. You ask me, what did you say in the meeting? I can't say, I don't know. I can't tell you because this is not me doing it. You ever went out and told your story, your life story, and then you say what you supposed to say, and then you walk out, everybody saying, wow, that was a good job, man. They be telling you what you said. You like, wow, I don't even remember. Because it's not you. It's the Spirit of God moving through you. So when I go back, it'd be like my first time hearing it too. That makes sense. So we have to give this out. And A friend of mine told me this, and this is so important. We always pay for what we want. Very seldom do we pay for what we need. And with that in mind, that's that right. Now, if you put a donation in, get last week's CD. That's fair.
That's right.
Because there'll be a lot of dollars going in there. Get last week. You still can get it, though. If you want a last week's CD, get it. Because all you do is listen to it and share it with someone else, and that's a great thing to me. The more people get the knowledge, the better it is. All right. Then it says, we have concluded to publish an anonymous volume. They're talking about the big book, setting forth the problem as we see it. We shall bring to the task our combined experience and knowledge. This is to just a useful program from anyone concerned with a drinking problem. Not just the alcoholic, but anyone who's concerned with it. And what I'm gonna do now is we're gonna stop here, and then continue next week. And I like the Q&A, the question and answer, because I go back and I learn a lot from that. And it's only 2 weeks, and this is a short chapter. 2 weeks, and we be out of here. So let's go with Q&A or comment.
My name's Frank. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Frank.
And when you mentioned when I first got here, you said the disease and the disease concept is not broken down in most treatment facilities. And I could think back. I could remember being told 1 is too many and 1,000 is not enough. I didn't know what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
Go to meetings, get a sponsor, and work the steps.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know why I should do that. I didn't know why I drank the way I did, because I drank for 45 years. There was time that I would pick up a drink without being conscious of picking up that drink. I call it drinking even when I didn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see how important it is now that if I don't know whether it would really make a difference when it finally hit me to go ahead and do this thing, to know that I had a problem. But if it was presented to me, I got a feeling I wouldn't have suffered as long as I did, because once I got the treatment, I drank for 3.5 years more.
Mm-hmm.
I drank during treatment, during transitional, because I didn't know what the problem was. I didn't know, I could remember 1 is too many and 1,000 is not enough. What the hell that means? I mean, to a newcomer,
Mm-hmm.
what to break that down to. So I appreciate what you do.
There's 2 parts to that. I think everybody in here can identify, and especially people who paid, can identify with going in treatment centers and not getting the full concept of the disease of addiction. I know I didn't get it. So there's one part that you're saying that's true, that we did start our recovery journey incomplete, right? That's number 1. We started incomplete. That's in the book. The second thing is what I really like what you said, and I'm gonna go back up to page 19 at the top when it says, and you said it might have made a difference. Let's say somebody had an honest, really, really desire to quit using, and the whole time in treatment, all they knew was 1 is too many and 1,000 is not enough. And without understanding the disease of addiction, that means that person was really, really ready, but wasn't getting the right information.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Here it says, on top of page 19, this is important what you said. After such an approach, let's say we gave them the right approach.
Right.
Many take up their beds and walk again. So with the right information, people can stay clean and sober. My father, with all the alcoholism that I told y'all, died clean and sober. He was a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. He told me the only step that he needed to do was step one. He knew that he put any alcohol. Now he had a variety. He wasn't going to the liquor store and buying it. You know, anything around a house, anywhere he can get drunk. You know, I had to wait till the liquor store opened. He didn't. Rubbing alcohol, right dog, cologne. You know what I'm trying to say? Listerine. It didn't make no difference. He was gonna drink. He drank so much they took his stomach out and got it graded and laid it out, washed it and put it back. So my point is, but he remembered one thing: the disease concept. That was the most important thing to him. Fourth step didn't mean nothing. Fifth step, he was kind of older. He knew that he took one drink, it was going to trigger the allergy. And he stayed clean like 10 years before he passed away.
Wow.
My brother, same way. He was an addict. He stayed clean 14 years before he passed away. He knew, them two knew the disease of addiction. That makes sense? So it do make a difference. Anybody else? The Lord, somebody? Oh.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you thank you for a wonderful group, a good group tonight. What stood out to me the most was the passage that said, we feel that elimination of our drinking is but a beginning. And for me, I needed to hear that because, and this is just for me, I find it easy sometimes to become complacent and focusing on just not using. Because my thinking has not all the way changed. So I want to believe that as long as I just don't pick up, I'm good. But that's not true. That's true in a sense,
Right.
but not the whole truth. That I have to continue to work. So I needed to hear that tonight and not just get stuck in that, just not using. So I want to tell you thank you for that.
That's very important because it's a lot of growth that has, and a lot of thinking has to change. But if we stop at just don't pick up, just don't use, that's the bottom of the barrel. I got you, Dolores.
I had two quick things. Your definition tonight, Rob, of the blameless child, that blew me away.
Yeah.
It lets me know I got to do a thing again. I never knew I affected my son like that. You know what I'm saying? And I can think of some stuff that he did that when you started talking about them lies that your daughter was telling, that just brought it all back into play. And also, I was kicking it with my man here today. We was talking about to take up your bed and walk again. With the information that we being poured out, it makes it very difficult to in your right mind pick up drugs again because of the information that's being poured into your body. It makes you like insane. You're just straight crazy to go do it.
I would like to believe you don't get it in here, you ain't getting it nowhere.
All right.
I like to believe that because because the people who did this, they stay clean and sober. And then the people I seen who did this stay clean and sober and keep coming back and doing it. You know what I'm trying to say? Go ahead, Dolores.
I was thinking about what you said about the difference between the fellowship and the program. So the last time when I was here, I stayed closer to the fellowship part and going to meetings after meetings after meetings after meetings. Wasn't into the program, you know. So eventually it told on, you know, well, it caught up with me. And then I was also listening to you saying that we have to be discipled, you know, because last Friday I was walking, catch the bus, and this guy that I know, he was sneaking my house by drugs, you know. And he saw me at my lowest point. And I was standing at the corner, and he just walked up, he passed me by, and he came back. He said, look out, yeah, he said, know any treatment centers that I can go to around here? And the first thing came to me was, he, he did it, he came to me because I look like this, you know. I wasn't giving God the credit he needed to have, you know. I was making it like I did it, you know. So he asked me, and I told him, I said, well, I'll bring you some numbers around here tomorrow, Tuesday, to get started. And I went around there Tuesday, I couldn't find him, but Sunday night I said, I ain't going back around and mess with him. And it was God came and I talked to him and I let him guide me. He came to me Monday night. And you know, you got to go to this job for me, you know. I don't got a job. I got to go to. He told that man, you going to bring the paper back right this week. I was starving, right? So I got up to cold it was. And I walked around and give it to him, you know. But it's just amazing how, you know, other people can see it working in me, you know.
Okay. The fellowship, we gotta have both.
Yeah.
I just don't want you to be a professional fellowshipper.
Yeah.
I want you to have both. And the Lord said, what you say about it? You was leaning toward you the fellowship queen. What are you talking about? You wasn't leaning toward nothing. You was the queen. But my point is, we got to have both. And the reason I say that so much is because I'm trying to imprint in people's minds about the program. And there is a difference. It's two parts. So a lot of time we get caught up in one part thinking that it's two. Or not even knowing that it's two. That makes sense? Just that the fellowship, I hear it all the time, working my program. No, you not. You don't even know the disease concept.
I'm wrong, alcoholic.
You're wrong.
Right. Now, we was talking about the fortunate, which I am one of the fortunate that I can give all my time to the program, but I still have to make some time for myself. You know, I do hospitals, I do treatment programs, I come big book study. I do 3 book study. I was doing 4. But see, I'm able, with me being retired, I can give more time to helping other newcomers. You know, maybe one day you get.
Man, y'all saying some stuff I don't want to hear.
You got a lot of stuff going.
I ain't open-minded yet. Go ahead. I'm just saying.
I don't have a lot of stuff going. And if I had, there's a lot of us in here. I'm just sharing to the people that don't work. Get this, and you'll be able to give it away. So see, I early in the morning, I tell people, I give out my number. I tell them I got a 24-hour number. People call me at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I answer my telephone. I have had people call me at 3 o'clock in the morning. I say hello, and then they hang up. So they weren't looking for nobody else. And I was just asking a young lady called me last week. I said, why you chose me? She said, you were the only one that answered.
Right.
But some people are able to do it, and I'm one of the ones. Couple guys in here I know that are ones that we do all of this. I ain't by myself. We all do this together. Thank you.
Let me say one thing. Then we got 5 minutes because I was told you got to cut it off because it's a lot of editing. So he said 7 minutes. So Here's the deal. Since you guys talking about the retiring and getting active, you know, after retirement and stuff, I got this warm feeling in me that maybe I am gonna be doing that. You know what I'm trying to say? Because in my brain, I had cut it off because I haven't been around people telling me what they do after they retire. You understand what I'm trying to say? I'm so active in all this other crap, but once it's gone, maybe it is time to do it another kind of way until the day I go.
I'm Ken and I'm at it. Hey, and I just want to talk a little bit about fellowship. Because early on, that was me. I went to every dance, every convention, everything that NAAA, anybody was having, I was there. And my sponsor told me a long time ago, he said, look, it's all right to be involved with the fellowship and do these things, but what are you doing? Trying to hide from working on you? And when he said that to me, it opened my eyes up that really I had time to help everybody solve their problems. But I went home at night and I saw. You know, I didn't work on me. I could tell you everything that was wrong with you, but I couldn't tell myself what was going on with me. And that was a key for me. That was really a key for me. When he told me that, I cut out all that fellowship. You know, I stopped all of that stuff. I started looking at me. When I started looking at me, I got the, you know, I'm still working on me. 20 years later. But I just know today that I can't put all my time into the fellowship, because if I do that, I don't look at me, I look at you. Then I help you solve your problem, then I be good.
Right. That's good. Jet, this is the last one, then we got to cut it off.
I'm Jet, I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Jet.
And this is very good to me, very good to me, because there is a fellowship, and the program is the first 164 pages. I had a very valuable experience about the fellowship, because the fellowship before I came in here, you know, I was real low bottom. I came here with Robert and Ken. I remember when they first got this place, and there was a group of people that said they were going to move down the street, and they said, no, they're going to stay here, and boom, you know, it's still here. But we all prospered, but we worked the steps. So if you do the program, more than likely there will be a fellowship around you of the Spirit, which are friends. You know, I have a guy in this program that says he's very rich, and I always look at him. He's not talking about materially. He's talking about his friendship. And see, my experience here is I stayed here 16 years, worked the hell out of this program, sponsored people. But I stopped. I retired. That was the word to use. I put the book back on the shelf. And I remember coming here one day. I don't know whether you remember me. And I said, man, I'm going back out. And Rob looked at me like I was crazy, because we worked the steps together. And when I went back out, I almost died, because God had brought me so far. And I saw myself with the same kind of friends I had before I got in here. I spent a fortune with them. And they left me laying up, and I told God I didn't want to come back. The disease consumed my mind. My thinking had changed, and I was back in that well-known freak. And I forgot about everything. I wanted to die. But the fellowship, the people here came and found me. They said, you did so much in the program. You know, we are such friends. The part they said, what they say, indescribably wonderful.
Right.
They saved my life. So, I advise, like he said, you need the program, and if you work the program, you will have a fellowship, and you get some real friends in here. So fellowship is important. This saved my life. If it wouldn't be, I know I wouldn't be. Wouldn't be here.
I want to thank everybody for sharing, because I got some good stuff. I just want to say, I had my finger crossed for the last 10 minutes. I just want to say one thing. Friday, Kim May, or Kim May M, for everybody who need to have that. Celebrating 20 years.
All right.
People want to know where to come. If you just come here at 7 o'clock, we can walk across the street to the meeting. So I don't have to tell you to go up the street. You know what I'm trying to say? Just come here, 7 o'clock, Friday, this Friday, tomorrow's Thursday, then Friday, Cedric. And we're going to walk from here right up the street. All right? So let's thank y'all for a good meeting.
Deep.